Hey everyone, April Cox here. I am going live today to talk about common mistakes and things that you should avoid in your self-publishing journey. So come on in, say hello, and let me know where you are coming in from. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. So tell me where you're dialing in from and where you are in your self-publishing journey. Post into the comments. Hey, I see we've got a Facebook user. Okay, one person out of Missouri. Crooked Nature, welcome. Greater Cincinnati area, also great. Frank from Jacksonville, welcome. So happy to have you. I am going to be sharing a little bit about common mistakes. We'll get started in just a few minutes. And we'll, for those of you who are on my Facebook group, there is a link. Let me just make sure it's coming in correctly, that you can access to give StreamYard permission to be able to see who you are as a user. Let's see. All right, Cincinnati, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. So what kind of mistakes have you made in your self-publishing journey? And where are you in your self-publishing journey? Would love that. Tell me more while we're waiting for others to click in. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was just not knowing what I didn't know when I first got started. So that for me was huge because I skipped some things and it took me a while to really figure things out, which is very common with those that are new to self-publishing. And that's one of the reasons why I put together my author work group as well, because I wanted to help others avoid that as well as they're moving into creating their own books. I wanted to help pass along all of the lessons that I had learned with my first. I've got 8 so far, 8 and another one on the way. So more self-publishing. My first nonfiction one is actually in progress right now. So let's see what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. Okay, screen 2. Someone's working, mentioned they have at the cusp of making it big. I have good reviews and returning customers, but still need to get better with digital advertising. Okay, that's good. Working on Vela stories to practice my skills while I work on P&R that I'm restarting. Good, good, good. Wonderful. Keep it coming. For some reason, I'm having some trouble sharing this PDF here that I've got on my screen. Bear with me while I go through it. Sorry, guys, some technical difficulty. I ended up opening things up with StreamYard on Firefox, and it looks like it does not like me trying to share things on my other screen for some reason. Upload file. Let me see, maybe this will work. All right, now it's loading. Sorry about the delay, everybody. Thank you for sharing where you are in your journey. It's uploading. And I can add it to the stream here. Awesome. All right, so the top 10 mistakes that self-published authors make. And a lot of my clients have made these mistakes. I have made a lot of these mistakes. So if you find yourself in any of this, then do not worry. It is common to go through this process. So let's just move forward here. I'm going to go through the welcome, talk a little bit about the top 10 mistakes. This problem here, if you've got head in hands, you have no idea where to begin. I think that is part of what gets started with brand new folks. They lose time and money. They've got confusion, uncertainty, missed steps. These are lots of the things that come being new to self-publishing. So the number 10, I'll go 10 down to 1. The number 10 mistake that I see is no plan for success. So you need to have a roadmap. You need to have an idea of how you're going to publish. And without that, it can be, trying to focus on Googling things and running through tons of information and trying to sift through which ones are going to be the right approach. And a lot of times we have so much conflicting information out there that it can be really overwhelming. And if the experts can't agree on the right approach, how is somebody new to self-publishing supposed to understand? So that is definitely a roadmap is needed. That is something that I've worked hard to pull together for you, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as I kind of run through the slides together. Not investing time to learn, right? I mean, as we self-publish, there's so much to learn and things are changing. Even just this past week, we had changes with Amazon. So it's ever changing, lots of time. I would just staying on top of self-publishing topics, getting into a community that you can enjoy and appreciate is going to go a long way in making sure that you are able to continue to increase and continue to learn from others. So there are some great resources out there. Facebook groups, courses. I do have a free Learn to Self-Publish group on Facebook. It is Learn to Self-Publish with April Cox. And you can absolutely join that. There are a lot of other author and illustrator groups out there that can help you to continue to learn and grow your knowledge. I also do have a course that's opening up on June 20th, that it will take you from, not having anything except a completed manuscript all the way through self-published book in 12 weeks. So if something like a course like that is something that you are looking to get help with and kind of have the hand-holding, that is certainly something I can talk more about here as well. Number 8, skipping a professional edit. I have had so many people come to me thinking that they are ready to publish their book. And unfortunately, what they really have is they've skipped a critical step, because without a developmental editor, without the time spent on making sure that your story is locked in and good, no matter what your cover looks like or the interior looks like, the design of it, you've missed a critical opportunity, and you're going to end up with bad reviews. So never, ever skip a professional edit. It is not good enough to know, to have somebody that a friend or family member or teacher go through it. You really want to have a professional editor who has experience in your particular genre to run through that stuff for you. So don't skip, hire someone and make sure that you understand the types of editing. Developmental edit is by far the broadest. It is somebody that's going to take a look at how your story flows from beginning to end. Are there holes? Do you have a good character arc? Do you have a good story arc? Are the chapters themselves have good arcs? That is the most critical type of edit. So you also don't want to just be getting a proofreader. You want a developmental editor to begin with. The other types of editing, copy editing, looking at your paragraphs, or line editing, looking at punctuation and spelling, those kinds of things come later. So that was one common mistake that I've seen a lot of people is they think, yes, I've had it edited, but the type of edit that they've had is not the correct kind of edit. I mean, they skip the developmental edit altogether. So don't do that. Make sure you get the right kind of edit and that you're able to move forward. Poor quality illustrations are also something that I have seen a lot with children's books. And some people grab time on my calendar and then we get together and they say, I don't know why my book's not selling. Can you do some Amazon ads for me? And what I really have seen a lot is that they've really skimped on illustrations. Obviously, these here are not poor illustrations. These are some of the best of the illustrations that I've seen on children's books. But whether you're doing a children's book and you need to do interior color illustrations, or all you're doing is a cover design, you really want to make sure that what is being created is high quality, that's going to be eye-catching, and is going to bring people along and get them interested in your book, right? A great cover, great interior illustrations, whether they're color or black and white illustrations, For those that are young adult books, that really depends on you, and you have the ability to do both, but you definitely want to make sure that the requirements for your target audience are met with the illustrations that you've had. Because many times I've just had to back people up and say, the reason it's not selling is because it looks self-published. The cover design needs to be redone, or the illustration quality just isn't what is going to be selling right now. So then they have to have that conversation and determine whether or not they want to redo everything, or start fresh with the next book with the right approach. So make sure you're getting good quality illustrations. Always, with regard to illustrators, make sure you have a good illustrator agreement, and make sure you get references and you get people that you can trust. When I work with my clients, I have a list of illustrators that I've already pre-negotiated my contract and the price point. And so that kind of thing can make a huge difference with making sure that you're getting somebody that you can trust to do the high quality illustrations. Not understanding the numbers, number 6, not understanding the numbers is you really need to make sure that as an author, you are tracking your numbers, the cost that you're expecting, your budget, your marketing. How are you doing with your sales? Make sure that as you are strategically planning these items, that you have a plan in place, a budget to start with, and then that you're seeing increasing improvement in your financials. And if not, then reanalyze, regroup, and rework your strategy if necessary. So do you understand the different options that are available to you? Do you understand how well that you're doing? Especially, I know I see this a lot with people that are running Amazon ads. They see the ad dashboard, but they're not really tracking their, whether or not they're making money in the end. An ACOS is not enough to tell you whether or not you're making money. You need to be looking at your royalties and sales, and then subtracting things like ad spend to make sure that you have a good sense of how things are going. How many books are you selling? Perhaps you started print on demand. Are you selling enough books now that it makes sense to do a large print run and get more money per book, with now that you've verified that your title has potential and it has legs, and you want to move forward with more profitability? So all of these things are really important. And if you're watching this live, I do have a special guest speaker that's going to be joining me at 8 o'clock, not on this live session, but on a Zoom session that I'm having. We're going to talk about things like bulk printing and the business side of publishing. And so you're welcome to join me there. If you want to take a look at some of the upcoming events, I'm happy to post the information and have you join me there. All right, trying to do it alone. This is something that I have had issues with at the beginning. Not necessarily that I didn't want others to help me, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And so a lot of times people try to wrestle through this self-publishing, because it does say self-publishing, right? We should do it ourselves. But what you really need to know is that there are some must-have resources, like a really good editor, a professional, a graphic designer. Sometimes a coach or mentor is critical if you're brand new to self-publishing. So that is something that I highly recommend. An illustrator if you're doing an illustrated book. And then folks like myself who have multiple books out there, I have an admin that a virtual assistant that I hire to help me so that I can spend more time growing my business and continuing to move that forward. So if you are not sure how you're going to be able to find these folks, there are some great resources. For example, there are individuals like and places like Readsy where you can find really good resources, readsy.com, upwork.com. Just take a look at referrals and references and make sure that you have the comments and the feedback that you're seeing there are good, and that they're aligned with your own niche, that they have experience with your niche. That will go a long way. So other things, if you are thinking about moving forward and being a part of my author work group, you won't have to worry about this because we have a list of pre-vetted resources that are going to walk you through this process. And you'll have, people are saying, I love using Upwork. Yes, absolutely. Upwork is great. Readsy is fantastic for editors. And again, I do have my pre-vetted list of folks that I use and that will help for this author work group that's coming. All right. So next is having a bad contract or no contract at all. Now, if you're using Upwork or one of the freelancer sites, then you have that built-in contract with the site. And so you own, it's a work for hire type contract. If you have an author illustrator arrangement and you're finding illustrators or editors yourself through Facebook groups or things like that, I highly recommend, especially for illustrations, that you have a contract in place that it clearly states that there is a non-disclosure agreement, that there is, the ownership with regard to your illustrations. And this can be the same thing with your cover design. You're going to want to make sure that you own the artwork, you get the copies of the final Photoshop files, so that if you need to make tweaks in the future, you'll have everything you need to do that, instead of providing full licensing to the illustrator or the artist. It makes it very hard to use those files or to be able to move forward in a way that is helpful for the author. For me, I have a work for hire contract that I use with my authors, with the illustrators that I have on my list. And it is a work for hire contract. You end up with 100% of the ownership of the artwork. Same thing with cover design. And I do the same with my designers. When they're finished with all of the layout, they send me all the source files, because to me, it's very important that if I need somebody else to hop in and do something, make some small tweaks, and people are not available or have moved on, then I have the files myself to be able to have that critical next step move forward easily. So don't have no contract, because there are a lot of things that can get in the way, and you don't want to leave things up in the air. I'll also add to this and say, you should not be giving people money up front, full payment up front. Make sure that your contract has milestone payments, so that you pay for work as it is finished. 30% up front or 50% up front is okay, but you want to make sure that there are critical areas where they're delivering before they're receiving additional payments. And that's going to be an important part of making sure things just move forward quickly and easily. Next is delaying marketing. So when you are writing a book, when you are starting to move forward with your book, you should be telling people about it. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and said, I'm ready to publish. And then I say, so what have you been doing for marketing? Oh, nothing. It's going to be a surprise to everybody. That's not a good idea, because you want people to know, you want to bring them along on your journey. So don't wait until the very end to let people know that your book is coming out. You want to do things like build relationships with influencers and individuals. You want to let your personal network and your extended network know what's coming. You want to be posting on social media things like cover reveals, or maybe allow them, things that that your target audience will resonate with them. For example, if your book is about anti-bullying, maybe there are some anti-bullying statistics or some memes that you want to post, or other things. You can also post things like, why are you writing your book? What's your why? What are you hoping to accomplish? Who's the book for? Maybe you could even, I had one person who blogged as their main character, and people were really interested in a little bit more about the character and what was going on with that character in the story. So that was an interesting approach. There's so much you can do. And there's also some foundational things that you need to do. For example, you really need to have a mailing list. It is going to be one of the most important things you can do as an author, especially self-published authors, because we need to build that mailing list so that as we continue to release book after book after book, we've got that audience and we are growing that platform, because the more that they are connected with us into our newsletters and our email lists, the easier it's going to be to convert them when it comes to new books, and just keeping them as a warmed up audience for new things that are coming down the pike. It's very easy to get somebody who's purchased your book and has appreciated it to move to the next book and the next book, right? So, but if we're relying only on social media, that's not going to happen. So a lot of times, one tweak with a social media algorithm, now all of a sudden people that were seeing your posts aren't seeing them anymore, but you have full control of your email list. So that's one thing it's critical that you have. And that's part of marketing, is getting all of those things set up. You're also going to want to have a website. It doesn't have to be really extensive, but it has to have some general information so that as people are looking for you or looking for more information about you and about your books, there's a place that they can go. And it could send people to Amazon. It could, you could be selling books from your website as well. But you are going to want to have something where not only people can go to learn more about you, but where they can sign up for your mailing list. Maybe you have some really great downloads that they'll be interested in, and that will help continue to grow your audience. Okay. All right. Moving forward. Number 2, biggest mistake, predatory publishers. When you are moving forward, and especially I see when people are copywriting their work, it is a public record. So you will have publishers reaching out to you and saying, I want to publish your book. Oh, this is so great. I love your story. Will you, are you interested? Do you need help? And a lot of these predatory publishers will promise a lot for what seems like a little. I had one that was, it's only $4,000 for what constituted like $25,000 or $30,000 worth of services. And it ended up being a scam. And a lot of people spent $4,000 and got nothing, because the publisher just went out of business, collected a lot of money, and nobody got anything. So you want to be really careful. If they are passing themselves off like, oh, we're going to publish you, and you thinking, hey, maybe this is a traditional publisher, A couple things to think about. A traditional publisher is not going to ask you to pay for anything. So if they're asking you to contribute in any way financially, it is not a traditional publisher. And does that mean it's bad? Not necessarily. Do your research and some due diligence to make sure that you're not, in the type of publisher relationship that's going to be predatory. The Alliance of Independent Authors is a great place to go to. They have a watchdog group, and they do have things posted. Also, just search for the name of the publisher on Google and the word scam after it, or, to see what are people complaining about, and just really make sure that you're getting help by people that will, if they're providing services, they have a positive feedback rating, and especially ask other authors. There are a lot of author Facebook groups, and if you post in it and say, I'm considering working with this named publisher, does anybody have any feedback? You will, if they're a bad publisher that's been scamming people, you'll hear about it. So check in with others. It's not unusual to pay $20,000 or $30,000 to have them help you publish your book or do it for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that just because they're charging a package deal that they're a scammer or predatory. You just want to make sure that that you are getting the services that you are promised, and sometimes that's not the case. Unfortunately, I've had to unravel a lot of predatory relationships with some of the clients that come to me. And it's a lot of times they'll spend $25,000 or $30,000 and get subpar, something I could have, published for $1,000 because it's just lousy editing, lousy illustrations. But they have all of these promises. We'll edit, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you, we'll publish for you. They usually require you to purchase your books through them, and they're going to publish through their account. And some of these things can be really tricky, because that means when they do go out of business, a lot of times what happens is your book is still posted to their account. You can't get anybody to respond to you, and your books may be selling, but they're getting all the royalties and nothing's being sent to you. So be careful, guys. Be really careful. And if you are somebody that is self-publishing or wants to learn how to self-publish, and you want to get some hand-holding from people that you can trust, I would be honored to have you consider joining my upcoming author work group, which starts on June 20th. And I'll have lots more information available for those that are interested. You can set up time with me, and we can talk specifically about your particular situation. The number one top mistake that a number of authors make is just giving up. And sometimes they're giving up because they're running into these pitfalls, and there's so many issues with, or difficulties that they're running into. They just throw their hands up and they put the book back on the shelf. 80% of the people surveyed say that they want to create a book and that they have a book inside of them. Only a very small percent of them ever do. It's around 1%. So too many people are giving up on their dreams, and I don't want to see that happen. It is hard work. There are a lot of steps in the process. There are some distractions that can take place. Life can take place. Limited resources, or maybe they didn't even realize how much it was going to cost, and they didn't do that strategy and planning up front. So some of the things that I would recommend is joining a group, having an accountability partner. You can reach out for support to authors that have been there and done that. Maybe getting a mentor could be really helpful. And making a plan and telling others, making sure you have that accountability. And again, that's another thing, a really great thing about the author work group that I have coming up soon, is you have the connection and that community and the hand-holding to get you through it. So if that is something that you are interested in checking out, then I would go to www.selfpubmadesimple.com, and you'll see the pop-up there that talks about our upcoming author work group. Again, that's selfpubmadesimple.com. If you have any questions, feel free to post your questions here in the comments. I'm glad to answer any questions you have. If you have made mistakes, what kind of mistakes have you made? Anything that I missed in these comments? Also, if you've enjoyed some of the information that I shared, then please do follow me here or subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, and join the group. But please do make sure you click on that bell so that you get the notifications and that you are part of these continuing shares that we do regularly. I also do have some upcoming events and lots of author resources. So much information you can find on my website at selfpubmadesimple.com. I do hope that you will continue to be part of this author community that I love, and stay tuned in. And again, post your questions. I look forward to helping you move forward and preventing the whole mistakes that you go through. So I'm going to just do a brief recap here. 10, not planning for success. 9, not investing time to learn. 8, skipping a professional edit. You definitely don't want to do that. Poor quality illustrations. Not understanding the numbers. Trying to do it all alone. Having a bad contract or no contract. Delaying marketing. Predatory publishers. And finally, giving up. So the solution here is working with the solution I've put together is working with my 12-week author work group, where you can, where I support authors and create the high quality books that you need. We take you from beginning, just having your manuscript completed, all the way through the editing, the illustrations, the cover design, the design of your and formatting of your book, and then publishing. And every single week, we focus on at least one marketing topic that will help you make sure that you are getting in front of people and you're learning and you're continuing to grow your marketing muscles. So those are some of the things that are helpful with pulling that together. I do see a question here. What are some of the pitfalls of using a pen name? Well, I would say that if you are using a pen name, somebody like myself, my name and who I am and what I do is part of my author brand. So if you don't feel comfortable using your own name and you're using a pen name, you lose that opportunity to create something with your own identity. But I still think it can be very valuable to have a pen name, and especially if you are writing in multiple genres, it's actually, I find it to be beneficial so that people don't get confused. Say, for example, I write children's books, and then I'm also going to write a memoir or something. Maybe I want the memoir use a different pen name, or if I'm going to write in some kind of military history stuff, then there's going to be a lot of confusion for people who are following me as April Cox with my children's books, all of a sudden with, murder mysteries or something else. So I don't find it to be I don't find it to be something that contains any pitfalls that I'm aware of. I only see that as something that's positive, other than the fact that, you lose that personal connection of your name and your brand as an individual. Okay. Another question, is it okay to use a local illustrator, or should we go with one of your suggestions? I recommend there are benefits to using local illustrators. Still, make sure that you research and do a good job vetting them, and that you have a contract in place. So one of the ways that I do that is when I'm first interviewing illustrators, I typically tell my authors to put together a scene that is really important to you, whether it's a character or a scene, and give what we call a sample brief. Put it together in a document, explain what the background is of it, explain the characters, what you're looking to have illustrated, and then send it to 3 different illustrators and see what it's like. See what you get back from each one. You're going to want to make sure you have reference images, that you tell the illustrator in your brief, how old is the character? What's the setting? Are they shy? What are the different things that the character that he needs to know or she needs to know about the character? And then let them go ahead, and you end up with 3 different takes on your illustration. And it helps you. I always say, make sure that you ask for some changes and tweaks, even if it's perfect. See what it's like to work with them on tweaking some things. I always love, the person that you are going to be choosing. For me personally, I want to make sure that they are comfortable getting on a Zoom call with me, and discussing the project, because there are some that say no. If you've got a local illustrator, perhaps the reason why you want to go local is so that that individual could maybe meet up with you and discuss things face to face. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have kind of covered all of your bases, and that you've got an agreement. You know exactly what it is you're going to pay, who's going to own the artwork, and all of that is put together. Now, you can do all of that yourself, or you can, work with me, work with my illustrators. So I pre-vet all of these guys. I put together a contract that is favorable really for the author, but also protects the illustrator, and that everybody's going to be on the same page. And these guys, we already know that they're trustworthy because they've done multiple books with me and my group. So if you're looking for that kind of assurance, then I'm happy to chat with you more about illustrations as well. Okay. So it looks like we are kind of winding down here. If there are any other questions on things that I've missed, then feel free to go ahead and add them to the comments. I will also just repeat, for those of you who are interested in working with me or potentially considering joining the author work group, it is again starting on June 20th. It is going to be available in an afternoon session as well as evening session. So 1 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have multiple options available. Everything is recorded. There are group sessions. There's also lessons that you log in and you move forward on your own as well, We have a private Facebook group and a group of, usually there's anywhere from 10 to 20, 25 people gathered together and working on publishing their books together as a group. So there's lots of benefit in doing that. It is a lot of fun, and deep relationships are built. One thing I love about it is that you never publish to crickets. So you've got other people that are in your community that are rooting for you and helping you and sharing your information to others. So again, it's selfpubmadesimple.com, and there's author work group there. And you can also find the link to just schedule time with me one-on-one if you'd like to ask more questions about the work group or working with me personally. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.